Welcome, everybody. I can see our folks are starting to show up. We will be a minute or two before we get started so everyone can join. And while everyone is coming in from the waiting room, I will let you know that we are recording today's session. So if for any reason you're not comfortable with being recorded, you are more than welcome to excuse yourself and view the recording later, but we do hope you stay. Okay, I think we have almost everyone in from the waiting room. So I will start us off by saying good morning, everyone. My name is Summer Burton from Literacy Link South Central, and I am thrilled to welcome you to today's webinar about virtual reality and its potential for use in the literacy and basic skills classroom. We'll be spending a bit under an hour together today, and we really appreciate you carving out that time in what we know is your very busy schedule. While we're meeting together online, I wanted to let you know that I am speaking to you today from the traditional territory of the Adirondack, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenapewaku people, who have a long-standing relationship with the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. To begin our virtual session, I would like to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we each call home. I'm doing this to reaffirm our collective commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territories of all of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. To find out more about Indigenous nations, territories, and communities across Canada, including where you currently live, I encourage you to visit Whose Land. It's https://www.whose.land/en, and it's going in the chat right now. Today's webinar is brought to you by Contact North with support from my organization, Literacy Link South Central. We're grateful for the funding for this webinar, which was made possible by the Ministry of Labor, Immigration, Training, and Skills Development. I'd like to personally thank Robin Cook-Ritchie, who was one of the main researchers for this initiative, and she's also the one keeping an eye on the chat for us today. If you have questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat as they pop into your mind. And I'll be checking with Robin occasionally to see if there are questions or comments as we move through today's presentation. Of course, we'll also open the floor at the end of the webinar so we can chat. I'm pleased to say that our ASL translation services are being provided by Cindy from Sign Language Interpreting Associates, Ottawa Incorporated. If you need any support finding or pinning Cindy, please make a comment in the chat and someone will help you out. I also want to send a big thank you to Stacy from Contact North, who's providing technical support for everyone attending today. If you have any technical issues during the webinar, please reach out to Stacy directly in the chat, or alternatively, you can call 1-888-850-4628 for technical support in both French and English. Let's take a look at what we're going to be talking about today. First, we're going to dig into why we are even running today's webinar. In other words, why virtual reality and all of the technology related to virtual reality. We'll talk about something called extended reality and what that includes, what sort of skills you can help learners develop using this kind of technology, the benefits we think it brings both to adult literacy practitioners and to learners, the ways in which this sort of technology are being used in the workplace today, and how that use could grow in the future, which to me is a darn good reason for us to start exploring it now. We'll talk about some of the challenges of using this technology and provide some helpful tips for how to overcome them. We'll also look at the different types of technology on the market today and their costs, which, if you haven't guessed already, could be one of the challenges that I mentioned earlier. Finally, we'll provide some resources for further learning and suggest some next steps you can take if you're ready to take that first big leap on your extended reality journey. At the end of today's presentation, we'll open the floor to you. During the research for this presentation, we spoke to programs who'd used this technology. And one of the things they mentioned was that being an early adopter of something new like this can be a bit lonely, for lack of a better way of putting it. We chatted about whether there might be a group of like-minded LBS practitioners out there who were experimenting with VR and wanted to brainstorm ideas and share their experiences with others. So we've put aside a little bit of time for sharing and hope that you'll offer your thoughts on using this cutting-edge technology with learners. To provide some context for today's webinar, in the fall of 2022, Literacy Link South Central and Contact North surveyed literacy agencies across the province to ask about their familiarity with virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. We were curious to find out how it was being used currently in programming, if at all. There were 47 respondents to our survey, and although over half of them had used at least one of these things for either entertainment or educational purposes in their personal lives, less than 3% had used them with learners in an adult literacy program. Almost 20% of our respondents did report knowing of another organization in their community that had used this innovative technology with clients, but less than 2% of those had considered partnering with those organizations to introduce that technology to LBS learners. Based on those results, we thought there might be a really meaningful opportunity here to think about how we could introduce these sorts of tools into LBS, either directly or through partnerships. We believe they have a lot of potential for education, and we know they're gaining in popularity and are actually becoming more accessible all the time. That brings us to two things. First, today's webinar, and coming soon, an extended reality report that Contact North will be releasing shortly. What you learn in today's webinar will be expanded upon in that report. So please know that if today's session leaves you itching for more, we've got you covered. Now, we chose to use the words virtual reality in the title of today's webinar because it's a phrase that's familiar to a lot of people. But as you may have guessed from what I've said so far, we're going to talk about more than just virtual reality today. We're talking about extended reality, which encompasses many things. And it's a phrase that I'm going to be referring to as XR a lot going forward. XR is an umbrella term that includes virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. So we'll take a look at the difference between those things. First, virtual reality. It's a computer-generated simulation of a three-dimensional environment that people can interact with using specialized equipment, such as a VR headset or handheld controllers. The user generally wears a headset that covers their eyes and sometimes their ears too. Because they're cut off from outside stimulation, the user experiences that virtual environment as if it were real, and they can interact with it using natural movements and gestures. VR is used in a variety of applications such as gaming, that's the big one, education, and training. Interestingly, also in therapy and rehabilitation. We're going to talk about costs in a bit, but I will say that of the three on the screen, this technology falls in the middle expense-wise. You can expect to pay between $600 and $2,000 roughly to purchase a VR headset. Augmented reality is different. It enhances the user's understanding of the world around them by adding computer-generated information like sound, video, graphics, or GPS data to what they're looking at in real life. That content is delivered using apps on a device like a smartphone or tablet, so it's unlikely that you'll need extra equipment to use it. Unlike virtual reality, which creates a completely artificial environment, augmented reality uses the existing environment and then adds to it. One of the most well-known augmented reality applications is Pokemon Go, and I think a lot of people will be familiar with that. It allows users to see the real world around them through their phone's camera, but it adds a hide and seek element of catching and finding more Pokemon to that experience. Now, I've also used it at the Art Gallery of Ontario, where you can, again, point your phone camera at a piece of artwork and through your screen, watch it come to life. It can tell you more about the piece, about the artist that created it, or the time and history that that piece was from. As you might guess, augmented reality is the least expensive of the three XR technologies and can be used for a variety of entertaining and educational purposes. Now, mixed reality is a term that represents a blend between virtual reality and augmented reality. By combining both the real and virtual world, physical and digital objects can coexist, and users can interact with them simultaneously. If anyone has heard of the unfortunately now defunct Google Glass, that was an early experiment in mixed reality, which presented digitally enhanced eyeglasses that allowed the user to both see the world around them the way our glasses normally do, and see visual content related to what it is they're looking at. I've seen a few demonstrations of this technology, including being in a foreign city and looking for a nearby hotel. You tap the side of the glasses, ask out loud where the nearest hotels are, and pins drop into your field of vision, indicating where they are. It's amazing. Because the mixed reality glasses are GPS enabled, the pins move as you do, so you can follow them to each hotel to check it out. Imagine how much easier it would be to find that art gallery you wanted to visit, or the metro station, or the restaurant where you made a dinner reservation when you're traveling. I've also seen it demonstrated as a tool for manufacturing, where a machinist could instantly pull up the user manual in their field of vision to help them figure out what's wrong with a machine that's malfunctioning. They can see both the machine in front of them and the troubleshooting steps to follow out of the corner of their eye. It's an amazingly user-friendly piece of technology. And as you might imagine, it is also the most expensive of the three technologies. That said, it has a wide range of cases for use in gaming, education, design, industry. And again, I'm kind of stuck on it for travel. Now, before I move on, I want to introduce two more extended reality concepts to our conversation. Spatial computing. That's a type of technology that tracks a user's movement within their physical environment. And because it does that, the virtual simulation can respond to the person's movement. It involves the use of sensors and other technology to track the user's actions, positions, movements. With that tracking in place, the virtual experience becomes more realistic for the person inside it. It's relevant to us because it gives learners the opportunity to manipulate things in the visual world, like pushing buttons or opening doors, handing things to people. Their virtual environment will respond to their real movements. Lately, I've even heard some of spatial computing being used to measure things like your heart rate, to see how you're doing within your virtual experience and if somebody needs to take a break. Haptic technology is another thing to know about. It's also known as kinesthetic communication, or 3D touch. And it's a type of technology that uses tactile feedback to simulate the sense of touch and provides a more immersive experience for the user as a result. So haptic technology can include physical feedback, like a vibration or a push. It could also include thermal feedback, such as changes in temperature. Imagine being in a simulation kitchen, learning how to be a cook, and being able to hold your hand over a hot frying pan, then feel the actual heat. Pushing against an immovable surface and feeling the resistance push back. That is haptic technology, and it is a great stride forward in realism in terms of the immersive experience that virtual reality in particular can offer. I'm going to pause for a moment and check in really quickly with Robin and Sarah to see if there's anything in the chat that I should be aware of.
So far, so good. I don't see any questions in the chat, Summer. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, it seems like the technology of the future. Extended reality actually has the potential to be a powerful tool for literacy and basic skills today. It can provide immersive, interactive learning experiences that engage learners and make complex theories more tangible and accessible. And XR can be used to train a lot of different things. For example, soft skills training. Particularly with the use of things like spatial computing and haptic feedback, XR is a powerful tool to help learners develop communication skills, improve their body language, make decisions, and manage tasks on a very specific timeline. All important soft skills for work. This year, as an example, the CNIB was using virtual reality with blind job seekers who could participate in mock job interviews and receive feedback not only on their verbal communication, but their body language during the process. Reading. Many XR experiences provide written prompts for the user and give them options for what steps they think they should take next. While not a great fit for emerging readers, the immersive nature of XR compels people to continue to keep reading, to move on to the next task or challenge in the experience. A literacy practitioner can get a good sense of comprehension during reading-focused activities, watching how much the learner comprehends and follows the provided instructions. Digital literacy. So extended reality is indeed cutting edge. And whether you're talking about a historian coming to life to tell their story, a virtual trip to a faraway land, or an immersive training experience, it's exciting. It's exciting to try. Anytime adult learners have an opportunity to learn about and use new technology, it builds their digital literacy skills and their confidence in using technology, both for learning and employment. Today's labor market is increasingly impacted by technology, from robotics to artificial intelligence. So building learner confidence is helping them grow the technological skills they need for the jobs of the future. Science and math. Extended reality can make abstract scientific or mathematical concepts more concrete, easier to understand. For example, learners could use XR to explore the inside of a cell or the structure of an atom or the geometry as it's required in the construction industry. Can you imagine learning opportunities available to a prospective brick and stone mason who could virtually disassemble a brick fireplace to figure out how the Pythagorean theorem was used in the build? We already know how powerful experiential learning can be, and XR offers an opportunity for learners to actively interact with what they're learning about in ways that they just couldn't otherwise. Language learning. Extended reality can be used to create an immersive language learning experience for adult learners, providing them with the opportunity to practice speaking, listening, and comprehension skills in a realistic and engaging environment. Learners could also use XR to visit a foreign country and practice conversing with native speakers there. Speaking of which, geography and culture. Extended reality can allow learners to go on virtual field trips to places that would be too far away, too expensive, or too dangerous to visit in person. For example, learners could visit an ancient civilization, tour museums and art galleries, or even visit distant planets. Because XR can be used to transport adult learners to different time periods and places, it provides them with an immersive and engaging way to learn about history and culture, allowing learners to experience what it was like to live in a different time or place. Learners could visit a battlefield, meet a famous historical figure, or experience life in a different country, all from the comfort of your classroom. Workplace simulation is a huge one. Extended reality can be used to simulate real-world work environments and tasks, giving adult learners a chance to practice and improve their skills in a setting that directly reflects the potential workplace. This can be particularly useful when helping learners prepare for apprenticeship training, as well as for careers in food service, manufacturing, or healthcare. I'd actually like to give you a quick peek at an example of that right now. So in a moment, I'm going to stop screen sharing and I want to pull up a video for you. It is a forklift tutorial or training simulation by Unimmersive. Doesn't have any sound, okay? So please don't be surprised when you don't hear anything. But visually, it will give you an idea of how immersive this technology can be. Hopefully everyone can see our screen there. There we go. So we saw that he successfully picked up that load. I'll go ahead and stop this now. Okay. So we saw how the user was moving their hands to control that forklift. The experience provides them with not only the point of view of a forklift driver, but the pattern of hand movements required to guide that forklift to perform the actions that will really be required on the job. It's pretty cool stuff. Other benefits of XR for literacy learners and for programs include distance learning. Extended reality can be used to connect adult learners with remote instructors and other learners who can collectively participate in activities that provide an immersive and interactive learning experience. As a community, literacy and basic skills programs made huge leaps forward in supporting learners remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. And XR has the potential to be our next big leap. As a result of the ability to use it remotely, extended reality can be a useful tool for learners with accessibility needs as well. For example, learners with anxiety or social phobias could use XR to practice social interactions and build confidence in a more controlled environment. Learners with a physical disability could use XR to participate in activities that they may not be able to fully engage in otherwise. Where the idea of XR and access to education becomes particularly interesting to consider is in the corrections system. People in the corrections system don't have the same access to education and training opportunities as those outside it, yet XR could offer virtual experiences that mirror non-prison environments. Inmates could experience interactive learning opportunities, allowing them to upgrade their skills and prepare for reintegration into society and future employment. It's a fascinating idea to consider. And you can also consider extended reality as a way for learners to connect with each other, rather than just as an immersive teaching tool. XR can allow learners to work together in a virtual environment, even if they're physically located in different places. This can be especially useful if you're asking learners to work in partners or do teach-backs with other learners in the program. It also opens up the possibility of learners from one program interacting with learners from another program who have similar goals. It's sort of like a technologically advanced pen pal system. And given our shift to hybrid working post-pandemic, I think there's an argument to be made that it's an accurate reflection of how people interact in a modern work environment too. Finally, increased engagement. Particularly for kinesthetic learners who pick up ideas and concepts better when they're presented in a hands-on way, XR can be very valuable. While reading or watching a video about someone driving a forklift is educational, feeling as though you're actually behind the controls, navigating that forklift through a warehouse is totally different. And it's often a much deeper learning experience. With XR, creating interactive and engaging educational experiences just feels more inspiring to a lot of adult learners. Another benefit of XR is that really it's play with a purpose. Aside from the hands-on benefits, there's something really interesting that happens with extended reality, and it's related to play, which, if anyone here knows me, is one of my favorite topics. So much of what people know about virtual reality in particular is based on gaming. It's technology you can use to fly a fighter plane or fight zombies. When you use that same technology for educational purposes, oftentimes game mechanics and motivations are still included. There may be a scoring mechanism for finding the most health and safety violations in a simulation, a countdown timer when completing tasks like filling orders at a virtual coffee shop, or opportunities for two learners to compete with each other to choose the most effective thing to say in a conflict situation, and other game mechanics. These not only motivate people psychologically, but the mere fact that the system can feel like a game relaxes people. And when you're relaxed, it is easier to learn. Speaking of which, XR can be used to provide adult learners with a stress-relieving and relaxing environment, not including zombies. It can help people unwind, reduce anxiety, improve their overall well-being. I want you to picture immersing yourself in a calm, meditative environment, or a virtual world where you can look at nature or listen to the sounds of the ocean. That can be helpful to put anyone in the right mindset for learning or help them focus before completing an activity or a test. On top of that, when people are put in an environment where they can make mistakes without lasting consequences, it helps them be brave enough to try new things that they may not feel confident doing in real life, at least not yet. Whether it's learning how to drive a piece of heavy machinery or speak confidently in front of others, having those experiences in a virtual environment gives learners something close to a real life experience to draw on when they find themselves having similar experiences out in the real world. Multi-step learning. Finally, because extended reality can be used to create interactive environments where learners can follow step-by-step instructions to complete a goal, it can be easier for them to learn how to complete multi-step procedures, one step at a time. Getting used to and remembering complex multi-step tasks is easier with the repetition that's offered by a virtual environment. It can be reset and rerun as many times as it takes for a learner to feel comfortable with that task. Outside of the literacy classroom, learners may also encounter extended reality on the job, which means they'll benefit from trying it in a supportive literacy and basic skills environment first. It's becoming increasingly common, particularly for larger, more technically advanced companies, to embed XR in the workplace. For example, it's being used for new hire onboarding and training. Using extended reality, companies can offer virtual tours of the workplace, introductions to colleagues, training on health and safety or company policies and procedures, and opportunities for employees to try workplace tasks virtually before attempting them on the job. Collaboration. Extended reality can be used to facilitate that collaboration among employees, even when they are physically located in different parts of the world. VR meetings and workshops can allow employees to work together in a virtual environment, sharing documents and ideas in real time. Extended reality can also be used to provide immersive, interactive learning experiences, both for employees and clients of a company. For example, XR could be used to provide virtual product demonstrations or to offer virtual consultations with experts in a particular field. Recognizing that some people want to take a deeper look at, for example, the technical specifications of a product, XR can be used to embed that next level of detail into a product overview. So only those that actually want to know that depth of information can access it. XR can also be used to create virtual workspaces that allow employees to work from anywhere, using virtual reality headsets to connect to a virtual office environment. This can be especially useful for companies with remote employees or for those looking to reduce their carbon footprint. It's sort of the next generation of our Zoom meetings that we've been taking from our living rooms for the past couple of years. Many benefits. Extended reality is not without its challenges, the first of which you've probably already guessed. XR technology can be expensive, and not all educational institutions can afford to invest in it. No matter how cool or valuable this technology is, our budget constraints obviously limit broad access to extended reality experiences for learners and educators alike. XR technology also requires some pretty powerful hardware and software, which may not be available on all devices. This can limit the ability of learners to access extended reality experiences on devices they already have. And again, investing in a high-powered gaming laptop in addition to a set of VR headsets and controllers could be out of financial reach for a lot of programs. Using extended reality technology can be challenging, especially for practitioners who aren't familiar with it. There's a learning curve. It's somewhere between hard and impossible to teach someone how to use something you've never used yourself. And it's much easier if you haven't just used it, but you feel comfortable with it. The need for practitioners to learn how to facilitate XR experiences effectively can also be time-consuming, even for those who would be excited to learn about this technology. And if you're anything like us, time is at a premium these days. Assuming that programs could access the technology and take the time to learn how to use it, there are currently a limited number of extended reality programs specifically created for adult education and training. There is absolutely content available. We're going to share some of it with you, but it may not cover all of the competencies you want to work on with a learner or be suitable to every learning level. It can also be immersive, engaging, and very distracting. This can be a problem if learners become more focused on the technology than on the educational content. They're also a bit of a standalone experience in that a single learner is often interacting with the technology at a time. So what happens to the other learners in the classroom? If they don't also have a focus, it can leave some learners having an amazing experience while others are left twiddling their thumbs. And this last one is a big one. It's about the fact that this isn't for everyone. It's interesting to note, for example, that there are potential safety concerns when using extended reality technology, particularly with VR, which can sometimes cause motion sickness or eye strain. Literacy practitioners need to be aware of these concerns and take some steps to mitigate them, but also understand that this sort of technology will be fabulous for some people and not for others. Learners who are claustrophobic, for example, or easily overstimulated might not be a good fit for virtual reality, although they may do really well with augmented reality, since it's one step back from complete immersion. Even mixed reality is a better fit for some people, as they keep one foot in the virtual world, but another firmly planted in reality. Now, we did say earlier that some forms of XR are powerful tools for accessibility, but we need to make sure that it includes things like the opportunity for closed captions, audio descriptions, alternative control methods. Unfortunately, not all technology is compatible with each other. For example, the accessibility features built into a smartphone may not work very well with every augmented reality app on the market. The final piece of the "it may not be for everyone" puzzle is the understanding that some people are going to have a concern over sharing a virtual reality headset. Now that we are familiar with words like pandemic, it is important to have cleaning and sanitizing plans in place. So they need to be safe for the technology you're using. And one that was suggested to us by a program that has been experimenting this technology is called a clean box, which can use UV technology to clean the headset between uses. No matter how you clean it, some people will not feel comfortable taking that risk with their health to use a shared device. And of course, we understand and respect that. So as a result of those challenges, LBS programs interested in learning more about using XR may want to consider doing so using some of our tips and tricks. First, Accessorize. Use extended reality as a supplement to traditional teaching methods rather than as a replacement for them. For example, following a lesson, you could use XR to provide an interactive or immersive experience that illustrates key concepts or provides hands-on practice with the skills someone's just learned. XR will be most successful if it's incorporated into your program as just one of the ways learners can explore and demonstrate their understanding, as opposed to the only way. As an aside, if you're interested in integrating XR into your program, but you're not really sure what the learner buy-in would be, you could always offer it as an optional extracurricular thing. Gives learners an opportunity to explore it at their own pace and help you gauge learner interest in using VR as part of their upgrading experience. What's likely to help raise learner interest is if the extended reality experience is clearly connected to their goal path and their learning plan. While it's true, some people just love new technology. It doesn't really matter why. Many will want to know why this technological experience is relevant to them. How does it support their goals? How will it help them, for example, pass the GED exam or get the job they want? Providing context will help increase buy-in from learners so they and you can see firsthand how it can really support them. The least expensive and most accessible XR technology is augmented reality. So start small and work your way up. Given that most augmented reality is accessed using an app on a smartphone or tablet, it's a great first and less expensive step for exploring the world of XR. I should also mention that choosing technology that's already familiar to learners, like a smartphone or a tablet will likely be, can help them focus on the content rather than getting distracted by the technology that seems new or a little frightening. A couple of great free apps for your phone include Google Translate, which translates print seen through your camera from one language to another. Google Lens, which can identify items that you point your camera at. And AR Compass, which displays not only the direction you point your phone, north and south, but things like the rotation or angle of your phone, which can lead to some really interesting conversations about math. Search on an app store. Look for augmented reality or AR and see what comes up. There are many free apps, and most of the pay apps are not terribly expensive. One of my top recommendations for AR is to search for AR-enabled content in your local newspaper or magazines. Many will embed things like links to a YouTube video in the photos that were included in an article about an event, for example. So you and your learners can take a deeper dive to see what's happening in your local area. There's a nice bit of relevancy in that. Our next tip is to start by borrowing equipment. Considering the idea of trying something new with a big price tag can be overwhelming, make sure it's a good fit for your learners by trying it out at a lower cost or free first. While the smartphone you might need to test augmented reality could already be in your back pocket, there are a number of different virtual reality headsets and controllers that are probably not. This is a great opportunity to partner with other organizations in your community who may already be using the technology. That builds not only relationships and access to XR for your learners, but likely a referral network in the process. Based on our research, XR is being used more widely in employment services than LBS, so we encourage you to look at your local Employment Ontario partners to see who's experimenting with that technology. And lucky for all of us, Contact North has several virtual reality devices available for programs to borrow. More on that in a moment. It is worth noting that not all programs may be able to use every available technology. For example, a program that requires high-speed connections may not be a good fit for a rural LBS program that struggles with reliable internet. A program that requires the user to make wide sweeping motions with their arms may not be a good fit for a program operating in a cramped or crowded space. Before committing money or effort to extended reality, think about how it does or does not make sense within the structure of your program. And finally, some extended reality hardware and programs may work wonderfully for your learners and others not so much. Find out why and gather your learners' ideas about what would be useful for them in an XR experience. Once you get more comfortable with experimentation, you may be able to find exactly what they need. Before I move on, I'll check with Robin really quickly and see if there's anything I should address in the chat.
There is one question. Can you provide more details on the AR Compass app?
I can't provide specific details in the time frame we have, but if you stick around, I will put a link in the chat for you at the end. How's that sound? Hopefully a thumbs up.
She said, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, with all of those pros and cons aside, let's take a look at some of the technology you might need to use to take advantage of extended reality and a little bit of information about how much it costs. So we already talked about VR headsets. They remove the user's ability to see the world around them. Display a video to each eye usually allows for depth of vision. They often include handheld controllers or haptic-enabled gloves as well. Some headsets are standalone, which means they're all in one. The user can download the VR experience directly to their headset, put it on, and play it. Others require a gaming computer or other device like a smartphone or tablet to run that experience. It's worth mentioning that if a gaming computer is required, they typically start at about $1,000 and increase in price depending on their capabilities. As you might imagine, there are many different virtual reality headsets on the market. The best one for your program will depend on your budget, obviously, the type of content you want to experience, and what other devices you already own. So we are going to take a look at a couple of popular headsets that are available now. Please note, they're fairly mainstream, which means you can find more programs and support for them. But there are more inexpensive off-brand headsets available as well. Just be aware that not all of them will work with all programs. So it's important to look at both hardware and software before making a decision about the technology that's right for you. Google Cardboard is probably our favorite cheap and cheerful model. It is a basic VR headset that is quite literally made of cardboard. If you can assemble a box to mail a package, you can put together the Google Cardboard. Then you slide your smartphone in the front and use it as the display and the processor. It is a low-cost option for very, very basic VR experiences, but it is easy to set up and use. It works with any smartphone and only costs about $20. In the world of standalone VR headsets, the kind you don't need another device to run, there are a couple of common players. The MetaQuest 2 and MetaQuest Pro are fairly well known, but they're often recognized by another name, which is the Oculus. For anyone who knows it, that is the new name for an Oculus headset. They tend to cost between $600 and $2,300, depending on the specs. The Pico Neo 3 and Pico 4 are also standalone headsets on the market. They range in price from $950 to $1,200. If you're looking for a VR headset that's used in combination with another device, the least expensive at roughly $800 is the PlayStation VR2, which is a VR headset that does require you have a PlayStation, hence the name. If you already have one, it can be an inexpensive alternative to buying an entire system. The Valve Index and the HP Reverb 2, as well as the Viva Pro 2, are all devices that come in between $1,000 and $2,000 and require a gaming laptop as well. Then if you're feeling really fancy, you can look at the last image I popped on this slide, which is the Microsoft HoloLens 2. This is the only mixed reality option we'll get into details on because truly, the costs just grow exponentially once we start looking at MR. However, for $5,000 and up, you can experience the HoloLens, which projects 3D holograms onto the glass lenses. The wearer can move the hologram around, manipulate it, and basically experience it as if it were directly in front of them. Interestingly, these holograms can respond to your gaze, your gestures, and your voice commands. It's a standalone headset, so I mean, hey, at least it's worth noting that you won't need a gaming computer for this one. That said, for full effectiveness, you do need hand controls, which allow the wearer to manipulate the 3D projections. Well, hardware associated with extended reality can range from, I already have it in my pocket, in other words, your phone, to I need to take out a bank loan. Software is a bit more approachable cost-wise, with several free or free trial software options available. Now, truly, we could spend an entire hour just listing different types of XR software programs out there, but we wanted to highlight a few that were either free or at least offered some free content. For example, there we go. We have Google Expeditions. They develop strictly free educational VR content. It lets learners take an immersive virtual journey, exploring their way through museums, foreign lands, time and history. It actually provides opportunities for someone to shadow people doing specific jobs to see what that looks like as well, which has great opportunity for learning. They can be experienced through a mobile device or a desktop computer, or can be paired with a VR headset. So you have a lot of options there. The app also offers VR training for educators through the Google for Education Training Center, where you can also find expedition lesson plans and educational materials. For those who might be asking, I've seen chat light up, but I don't know what's in it exactly. We are providing links to all of these within the chat, okay? The next one you see on the screen is Nearpod. It offers both free and paid virtual reality and augmented reality apps, along with traditional lesson plans. So much like Google Expeditions, it offers virtual field trip experiences, but also provides lesson plans on an assortment of different subjects. Unimmersive is an application available on a wide range of VR devices and platforms, and like the last one, offers a combination of free and paid VR experiences for learners and educators. This is actually the company that forklift training video we looked at earlier came from. They offer an app, which is available for free, both on iOS and Android. Sesqui VR offers all free, 360-degree experiences of Indigenous Canada's arts and innovation scene. Immersive full-screen experiences include virtual storytelling, interactive games, and learning experiences. It's viewable on your phone, your tablet, as well as through many VR headsets. With over 30 virtual and augmented reality devices that it supports and over 8,000 applications, Eon Reality is a great place to go when you work in education. The software engages and empowers students to learn through programs like King Tut virtual reality and a virtual anatomy simulation. A wide range of subjects are available, categorized to improve creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and communication. Now, for those of you following along with the recent Skills for Success initiatives in LBS, those may just ring a bell. Steam is a gaming platform where you can search for free and paid VR content among like a million other games. To help narrow down your search through the many options, search for free, VR, and education to find things like Education XR, Self-Knowledge VR, Electrical Safety VR Training, and more. As an aside, I mentioned each of those because they're free to play through Steam. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. I know we threw a lot at you all at once, and I hope you're following along in chat. But one of the things I want to reassure you of is that the extended reality report that Contact North will be releasing later this month will include more detailed information about things like apps, about the different types of extended reality hardware that you would like to potentially investigate. So there's a lot more resources coming your way. And speaking of resources, I mentioned earlier that Contact North is very interested in supporting LBS programs with trying to bring extended reality programming to their learners. So I want to offer a little bit of information about that. Free of charge, they are offering a lot of really great hardware to borrow, including the Pico, Oculus, and Viva headsets. And they can provide several different software programs too, including Meet in VR, which offers an opportunity to attend a virtual meeting and interact with others in a virtual environment. Rise, which offers interactive health and safety awareness training, which is specifically focused on the construction industry. Body Swaps, I've heard a lot about that one. It offers soft skills training to help learners build their communication, teamwork, and leadership skills. It's software that offers an opportunity for users to see and hear how they come across in a mock interview. Immersive Link, which offers custom VR solutions from Indigenous engagement specialists. And Pixo, which offers VR training for emergency protocols, disaster preparedness, and more. To find out more about how to borrow technology from Contact North, we invite you to reach out to Sarah. I've put her contact information there on the screen, and I know she's put it in chat as well. Once you reach out, she can put you in touch with your local Contact North Online Learning Center to make arrangements for a demo or to borrow this technology for your program. So we provided you with some resources for both hardware and software and suggestions around borrowing them to help save some money. If you want to do some reading or research before you make a decision about your use of extended reality, we have some ideas there too. For example, following some XR blogs or accounts can be helpful in keeping up with the changing extended reality landscape and learning more about things we didn't cover today. We've put the links to 3 different websites on the screen. All of them are full of interviews with people that work in the extended reality community. They share news and new things that are happening in virtual reality and extended reality. Lots of articles, lots of great reading. Each of those links is being posted in the chat for you as well. And actually, I will mention, if you know of additional online resources that you would like to share, please post those in the chat for others attending today as well. So before we stop sharing our screen and open the floor to additional questions or comments, things that you might like to share in chat, I'd like to first thank everyone for attending today's webinar. Give a shout out to Cindy, our ASL interpreter, as well as Robin and Sarah. As a reminder, that extended reality report Contact North is creating should be coming your way soon, so please watch for that. And as with all professional development sessions like these, we do ask that you please fill out the very brief evaluation survey for today's webinar. The link will be posted to chat if it's not there already. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and close our share. So with that done, I will ask if anyone has questions in the chat, or if we'd like to go through the Q&A, if there's anything that we can talk about there.
So Sylvie asks, are some of the resources available in French?
Some of them are available in French. Exactly which ones, unfortunately, I can't confirm for you. But yes, I know that some of them, particularly the Canadian-based ones, are available in both French and English.
Okay. There aren't any other questions right now in the chat or in the Q&A section. Sorry, there is one more question, but we do have to allow the ASL interpreter to leave because it's just after 11 and she's only booked till 11. So I just wanted to make sure that she had an opportunity to step out.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your help today. And we'll stick around for a few minutes.
That's okay. If you're just going to finish up in a minute, I can stay. It's all
Okay.
right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cindy. My apologies. There's just one more question again. Which AR Compass app are you recommending? And I did try to do a search Summer while you were presenting. I'm not sure. There's a few of them in the Google Play Store. There's some in the Apple App Store, and I'm not sure which one in particular.
Yep, give me just a sec. I'll pull it up so that I can actually give you the link to the App Store. I had it open this morning. So now I got to find it again. I did have it open this morning.
Sylvie did have another question or a suggestion about the links. And Sylvie, just so you're aware, all of the links that were shared today are actually in the VR report that will be distributed to everybody later this month. So we were trying to share them just in case people wanted to take a quick look during the presentation. But again, they are all in the VR report that will be published by Contact North. Okay, and just a few thank yous, Summer. Great presentation, lots of information to process, which is terrific.
Yeah. Okay, I know it's a long link, but I've just popped a link to the Google Play Store for the AR GPS compass that I was looking at.
Okay, thank you very much, Summer.
Thank you, everyone. I know there is a lot of information for sure. So we're very glad that you'll be able to read more about it in the report that's coming out and take some extra time to digest it. All right, well, with that, since there don't seem to be any additional questions, please let us welcome you to leave. We appreciate your presence and look forward to the next time we have the opportunity to meet.